Very good morning, children. Hope you understood the last class where we talked and discussed about the harmful microorganisms. So these microorganisms, sometimes they are like our friends, sometimes they are like our foes, enemies. So these microorganisms will basically are useful to us, and also at the same time they are harmful to us. So we have seen how they are useful to us, and now in the yesterday's class we have seen how they are harmful to us, and also how they cause different diseases in the human beings, plants, and also in the animals, and also on the livestock which we depend. That is nothing but the cattle. So in the last class, we've also seen that how they are harmful to us, how they cause different diseases in the human beings, plants, and also in the animals, and especially in the livestock, that is cattle, which are really very important for the human beings. Okay, so these are all the different areas where we find them as really harmful to the living organisms living on the earth. So the second point which I would like to tell today is the food poisoning, the word which is called as the food poisoning. So basically in the newspapers and also in the news and all, we always study about people suffering from the food poisoning admitted in the hospitals, isn't it? Somehow their food is poisoned and they are admitted in the hospitals. So how this food poisoning actually happens? See, when you eat the spoiled food, when you eat the spoiled food, when you consume the spoiled food, or if you consume the stale food which is already spoiled, that will lead to the production of poisonous substances in our body. So when these poisonous substances are produced in our body, that will lead to the food poisoning. So taking the food which is completely spoiled, which has become stale, we should not take that. Many times we always, when you go to a market also, when you try to buy a bread, you see the date on that, isn't it? So if the date is expired, we don't take that because that is expired. Even though if that fellow is giving it for free also, we should not take it. The reason is that once the date is done, once it is expired, then we should not use it. Even the milk packet also, there will be an expiry date. The medicines which you take there will be an expiry date. The food items which you use, there is an expiry date. So once the food is expired, once the food is spoiled, once the food is completely become stale, we should not consume that food. So if you keep on consuming that food, that will lead to the food poisoning, and the poisonous substances will be released in your body, which may lead to vomitings, which may lead to motions, and even in some cases they lead to death also. And we have seen several such cases in India where children or people are led to death because of the food poisoning. Now, this is the topic which I would like to explain today. So Clostridium botulinum is the one of the bacteria which is actually responsible for this kind of food poisoning. So basically the food poisoning is happening because of this bacteria, by which the name of the bacteria is Clostridium botulinum. Okay, so and now we'll come to the next topic, which is called as the food preservation. Food preservation. If microbes are grown on the food, okay, they spoil it. If microorganisms, if they grow on the food, they will spoil the food. And whenever you see the spoiled food, it will smell very bad. So early in the mornings and all, like if you want to eat the yesterday's curry, you see the smell. Because once you feel that it is a foul smell, it's a bad smell, if it is stings, if that particular food stings, what you will do is, you will not eat that food because that smell itself tells you that it is spoiled. Okay, so now even if you take the pickles or something, if it's not properly preserved, you can see white color fungus layers on that, isn't it? Even that layers also tells you that the food is completely spoiled. So how you can make your food remain safe for a long time? There are many ways of preservation. Preservation in the sense storing it safe, okay, saving it. Okay, so how to preserve your food items? So now, as we have told about the pickles, as we have discussed about the pickles, we say that pickles are preserved for a long time. If you make a mango pickle in the summer season, even till the next summer season comes, you'll be eating the mango pickle. It will remain safe. The reason is that you add salt in that. So when you add salt in that, salt will act as a preservative and will not allow the microorganisms to spoil that pickle. If you add very less salt, and because of that, the microorganisms will get a chance to grow on that, and within no time, your pickles will be spoiled. And you might have observed a lot of drinks which you eat, a lot of drinks which you drink, isn't it? The mango juice and apple juice and whatnot. So all these are preserved again. They will be preserved from year to year. So how? They add a very good amount of sugar. So when these people add a very good amount of sugar, the sugar itself is acting as a preservative and will not allow the food to get spoiled. That is how we are adding the sugar, we are adding the salt, and the sugar and salt are nothing but the preservatives which will preserve your food from the spoiling which is done by the microorganisms. Okay, even if you go to foreign countries, you will see that the food which they eat, sometimes some people, the vegetables will be cut and they will be added salt and then they'll be dried in the hot sun. And after that, they will pack them and they can be preserved for a very long time. Even the fishes also will be done with the same. They'll be kept in the ice cold, or sometimes they'll be applied. They will add some salt to that and they will store them. So this salt is also used to preserve the fishes, because they'll be exporting the fishes. Sometimes they'll be importing the fishes, and all at this time they'll be taking help of the salt. And second one is they'll be taking the help of the ice, so that the food items which we are exporting or importing, they will not be spoiled. Okay, so now why these people will cut them into small pieces, the vegetables and all the fruits and all, they'll cut into very small pieces and apply some salt to that, and they will dry into the hot sun. The reason is that they want to remove the moisture, because where there is moisture, where there is little bit of water content, that particular food can be easily spoiled. Even at the time your rice bags and all, like if some water is added to the rice bag, immediately they will take all the rice and they will dry it, because once there is water in that particular part will get spoiled. You can see within no time you can see fungus growing on that. Even if you take a small bread piece and put some water in that, sprinkle water on that and keep it aside, within no time the bread will become in which color? It will become black in color, and it's now smells. It is because the microorganisms, they will start growing on them. So to avoid all these things, what we have to do is we have to dry them under the sun, so that they will become completely water free, and that you can preserve it. And that is how vegetables and all, maybe some other fruits also, they are dried up and they are packed and they can be preserved for a long time. Now we'll talk about the process which is called as the pasteurization. Okay, so how was this pasteurization was invented? There was a person called as Louis Pasteur, and he was born in the year 1822 in France, and he was a painter. And actually, he wanted to become a teacher, but he was very much interested in the mathematics, physics, and also chemistry, and he became a researcher afterwards. So he was doing some kind of research on the crystals and all. Okay, and in those days, the wine, which was a very good industry in France, there was a trouble with the wine, because the wine which was made, it was spoiled, because they keep on preserving that wine for a long time, and if it is preserved for a long time, that used to get spoiled. So that was worrying the people of France. So they all came and approached Louis Pasteur, and Louis Pasteur, he studied the problem very carefully, and he came to a conclusion that this problem might be because of the microorganisms. So he thought that, he did not confirm the news, but he thought that this problem has come because of the microorganisms. They are the causative factor for the spoiling of wine. He thought that maybe these microorganisms can be controlled by the heat. So this led to the invention of the pasteurization. So he proposed the germ theory of diseases, that is, diseases caused by the microorganisms. He also invented the vaccine for the rabies, and also he studied the anthrax disease and came up with the vaccine for the anthrax. He studied other several disease causing conditions and also the disease causing conditions in the human beings and animals, and has come with the proper solutions for that, proper vaccinations for that. And also he saved the silkworm industry, especially in the Germany and France, by controlling the diseases which are caused to the silk moth, because the silk moth, okay, that is the one which will prepare the silk, and also disease which is caused by the silk moth. So, and then we should definitely talk about one more scientist whose name is Lazzaro Spallanzani. He is the one who confirmed that microorganisms can be killed because of the heating. So now, how do we use this pasteurization in our home? That is what we are going to see here. So when we get milk and all, they will be written in the packets on the package that it is heated up to 72 degrees centigrade and 15 minutes. So once it is heated, it should be hot. But the milk packets which are served to you will be cool, isn't it? Because pasteurization is heating up the milk, which will stop the growth of the microorganisms, and then keeping it in the cool temperature also controls the growth of microorganisms. And by the time you get it, the milk and all will be completely free from the microorganisms. And once you get it, what you will do is you will heat it again, so that you will not allow the growth of the microorganisms. And evening also, at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock something, what you will do is you will again heat it, so that you are not allowing the microorganisms to grow. If they grow, if you don't heat them properly, within no time the milk will become spoiled. So pasteurization method says that when you heat something, the microorganism will not grow, and heat it and also then cool it. So if you do that, definitely the microorganisms growth will be stopped, so they cannot increase in numbers, so that the food will be spoiled, the milk will be spoiled. This method is called as the pasteurization. This method is called as the pasteurization. So invention of this pasteurization method is all invention of this pasteurization method has also led to the method called as sterilization method. So if in this process also, in this sterilization process also, the microorganisms are killed. So anything you keep in the water and heat it for around 30 minutes, so whatever the microorganisms are there in this water, they will definitely die. That's why you might have seen the doctors using the sterilization method. They will put all their instruments, the instruments which are used for the surgeries and all, the surgeons will keep them in the hot water, and they will boil it, so that there will be no microorganisms, and that should not infect the people or the patient who they are going for the surgery. So that is how sterilization method also has become very famous, and that's only came up with because of the pasteurization method. So nowadays, whatever the food you get, like fruits or the cool drinks or something, everything will be airtight packed. So they will remove all the air and then they will pack it, so that the things which are there in the or the contents of that particular packet will not get spoiled, and they will be supplied to you in the same way. That is how preservation of the food will help you in the following ways. So the preservation of food will help you in this following ways. The first one is this prevents the spoiling of the food. If you keep the packets airtight, and then the food will not be spoiled. Second one is you can preserve this food for a very, very longer time, and quality of the food also can be ensured for a long time. And moreover, variety of food materials and all, like if you want to send them to the other places, to the foreign countries, it may take some time, isn't it? If you want to send something to USA or something, it will take around 10 days of time or 5 days of time. See, it depends on the place where you are sending it. So it may take a long time. So even till then, the food will be preserved if you make a airtight pack. These are all the different methods by which we can prevent our food from getting spoiled because of the microorganisms. Okay, so and these harmful microorganisms are really very harmful to us. So never eat the spoiled food. Never allow the microorganisms to spoil your food. Okay, keep all your food things and all. They keep them covered with the lids and all. Okay, so if you take very simple measures, okay, if you take simple measures, you can save yourself from the deadly and dangerous disease caused by the microorganisms. Okay, so this is the end of the unit, which is called as the story of microorganisms part 2, and tomorrow we'll come up with a new unit which is called as reproduction. Until then, see you all, take care, have a great time.